which allows us to decrease infant mortality and decrease malnutrition among children. Second, when this program started, we saw children were sometimes born with malnutrition. So we increased the program, and we wanted healthy pregnancy. So we increased the coverage, health coverage for the new generation, for babies from the time they're conceived. And therefore, a healthy pregnancy registers mothers that are pregnant and gives them medical insurance throughout the pregnancy and breastfeeding. And that has helped us decrease mortality of mothers. That is another MDG. Third, new children. We see children that are 1 to 5 years old in Latin America and probably all over the world are children, many of them of single mothers or widows or divorced mothers, heads of families. In Mexico, we have almost 6 million women that are head of the households, and they usually have no opportunity to come into the labor market because they must take care of their children, or they would leave children in horrible situations. They would tie them up at home or lock them up at home. Children that were not cared for, even on the street, literally. So we created a program which is doing pretty well, and that is children care for a new generation. But instead of following the old model, instead of creating these buildings that look great, which take all the money from the budget, or instead of creating model buildings, what we do is we pay the mom in the same neighborhood, maybe an unemployed woman that's 40 to 50 years old. We pay her so she can take care of her living room. And that's where she has a playroom for children and for them to sleep. We help them fix up their kitchen so that they can hire a cook that can be a relative, and they have a little bathroom for the children. So we give them approximately $4,000, and we have childcare for a new generation. And the mother, with the grant that we get to the neighbors, the rest of the neighbors drop their children off there, maybe 30 children per mother. And it was begun at the mid last year. Today we have almost 200,000 children in this daycare for the new generation. The mothers that take care of these children are trained by us. They receive medical assistance. They teach them how to take care of children. And then the mothers have been able to work. Children that had no other opportunity not to play or to learn how to read maybe or to get some love are being taken care of at these new generation child care places. Third, and I'll be done with this, I think the key for all governments is not just to commit, to get specific commitments as Shakira and Alejandro have proposed, but also yourself to take on that commitment yourself. And by the way, we saw there was all this malnutrition now that food prices went up, so we increased this money grants for this Oportunidades program. And so food in Mexico went up by 10% on average, so Oportunidad increased by 23% the grants for mothers. We started doing that, but we have another program I forgot to mention. You know Mexicans love tortillas. We recommend it to everybody. Nevertheless, each family, really, the poorest families eat tortillas. So we wondered how can we give them better nutrition. So even though we have a crisis for the price of corn, we have Mi Masa, which is government flour. And it's not just for tortillas, corn flour for tortillas, but rather it has vitamins, iron, folic acid to protect pregnancy and nutrition for children. And now, through the tortillas that the poorest peoples have always eaten, we've added additional nutrients that help us out. Anyway, let me finish what I was telling you. The key for government is to think you are working for the children. We have so many challenges. For example, security. I dream that no matter what her problems are today, someday Mexico will be able to let children go out on the street again, so for them to play soccer, to be able to go to the park, that they can run around free. Because today, maybe they cannot. If I think about the environment, and I'm glad Jeffrey mentioned it, we're completely committed to the environment. Mexico has planted 280 million trees last year, almost 10 million in one day this year. And for the first time, we're getting more forest than what we lose every year because of fire. So we hope that one day those children that come to the world, that are born, find a clean Mexico. So the key to my government, for me, for any public project, is to think you're working for some bosses, and the bosses are these little children under 6 years old who have gathered us here today, and they can have the full commitment from Mexico to work towards the cause for Alas and all of Latin America.
Bravissimo. And when you're done with Mexico fixing everything, we need you here desperately. Health insurance for all children, taking care of the environment, cash transfers for the poor, child care. Those are the true family values. You express them perfectly, and it's wonderful, and we've got to learn from what you're doing. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a great pleasure to have to speak to us next the President of the Republic of El Salvador, El Presidente Elias Antonio Sachs González.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you all. Good afternoon, my dear colleagues, presidents, Shakira, Alejandro. What did I say? Well, of course, the future. We're going to name you, appoint you for President of Colombia. Well, there is time for everything in life. I believe I'd like to give my thanks to Mr. President Calderon. Thanks for all these amazing ideas that are trickling all over South America. I believe that some governments in Latin America are not striving to tackle such a delicate problem like the childhood. I committed myself to Shakira during the summit in El Salvador. We're gonna deal with this problem. We're gonna face this problem. Beyond the commitments that we adopted with early childhood in Cartagena, beyond the commitments that as governments we do have, I believe there are more commitments that we need to fulfill as heads of states of Latin America. We have a number of programs, such as President Calderon in Hinojosa have already explained them to us. Others in my country, we have programs in my country that we have named Resolidaria. We have had a map of poverty in some municipalities, and most of these problems have to do with women who act as mother and father at the same time. They don't have a steady income. But we've also drafted a contract of reciprocal responsibility. We do deliver this money monthly, but they need to keep their children in these health centers and in